Spawning in the bottom left hand corner is Invictus Gaming XY. And in the opposite corner, the red Protoss playing for Africa Freaks, it is Stats. Alright, let's get this going on Blackburn. Some of the 2019 players may actually find a lot of similarities between this map and what was it called? Year Zero? Something to the likes of that. This is an incredibly awkward map, and XY is gonna start it off with a proxy. Stats has made his own works and he's gonna scout it right away. Probe already at this little bit of a high ground area and will force actually a cancel onto the proxy, which will slow down XY just like these inhibitor zones are doing. Not going to be easy to actually get stuff going after such a disastrous beginning for XY. Not what the Terran player wanted for sure. He's gonna get a little bit of scouting information, but Stats doesn't really feel confident enough to start it off with a Nexus before deciding his score. He's gonna play it safe. I'm not sure if it's going to pay off, since the first Rex is going to be so slow out of XY. But still, better safe than sorry. And finally this Rex completes. It's going to be a Marine first, just to enable the command center to come up unscathed before the Adept can come through from Stats' main base. Aside from that failed proxy, nothing off the charts happening right now, with XY actually getting a full scout on the map with his SCV here on the top, and another SCV going straight into the main of Stats. It's going to be followed by an Adept, which is trying to get some scouting information for Stats as well. Not that there is much to be scouted. Of course, here on Blackburn, it's going to be a Stargate first. One of the openers that has been the most successful lately. It's still interesting to see these against a Terran player instead of just the usual Blinkstalker opener. But it's still interesting to see a Stargate play in the hands of a player such as Stats. Both players incredibly focused, as you can see in their player cams. Such a great thing to have player cams here in WTL. I've been waiting for those kind of things for a long time on online events, and finally we have this. Alright, XY is going to get his Nexus, his command center in the main base. Not gonna allow Stats to get a free cancel onto that, but just an overall slowdown, while he's setting up for a Widowmine drop. Stats clearly wants to counter that at the best of his possibilities, with his Phoenixes starting off from this target. One already has made its way through. May or may not be mistaken for an hallucination, but XY is gonna play it safe. He's gonna burrow that Widowmine in his first mineral line, while Stats is getting more and more Phoenixes by the second. No second target yet, no Twilight Council as well, and XY starting to make out a couple Vikings, mostly for safety measures, and a third command center as well, to try and make up for the early council to his proxy that surely is slowing down quite a fair bit. First tank also coming out, while the fourth Phoenix is on the way for Stats. There's not an easy way inside the base of the Terran player, and that's a Robo Bay actually coming for Stats, completely skipping that Twilight Console while getting a fur base. This probe is almost done for, but the Adepts will come to the rescue. while 5th Phoenix has reached these companions, and the 6th one is on the way. Observer sieging up over here. Only 1 Viking. That's an easy catch for these Phoenixes, which are also going to get that 1 Widow Mine buried next to these production facilities. The Observer is going to be incredibly useful at keeping these Phoenixes outside of harm's range. And the first Colossus is on the way. Phoenix Colossi, beautiful build order, but XY has been slowed down too much in the beginning. These Phoenixes are getting so many free lifts and getting a chunk out of the army supply of XY. More lifts on those poor Marines, and it seems like the count has been almost completely reset. More Vikings are on the way. There's 1 tank in the natural, which is actually a very easy pick. There's no energy though. Not yet. Stats patiently waiting for the energy to recover on those Phoenixes, while it is actually patrolling over the starport. Stats making a statement here in this first match of the first set. He will be fighting right in front of your face, XY. Phoenixes against Vikings, lowering the count 1 after the other, just to be sure these Colossi do not have a counter. More lifts happening left and right. There's a missile turret incoming to save these couple these couple Vikings. But man, is it going to be difficult. More Marines are coming 1 after the other. And finally, it seems like XY will finally establish a missile turret over the starport. Stats will retreat with his Phoenixes, not before lifting yet another tank. Oh my goodness, just look at the supply. This has been such a disastrous beginning of the game for XY. Stats really accomplishing to put up so much pressure throughout the map, and now Stats, with a comfortable amount of Colossi and Adepts, is gonna try to make his way through the map and at least focus down this fur base out of XY before he can get anything good. Phoenixes, of course, are gonna try to focus down this command center. Can they be fast enough to get a kill? There are 2 Vikings trying to kite away those Phoenixes, and Stats will respect the firepower this Terran army still has, and wait patiently until he has a stronger army. 7 more gateways explosion after a 4th Nexus has been dropped, and a 5th one is on the way as well. The Templar Archives is going to have some Archons in the main army, which are not going to have any counter whatsoever. Ghosts not out yet. Widow Mine's not really the focus of XY this far. He's just focusing on getting these Vikings out, getting some bio army. But these Zealots, almost with +2, will be so difficult for XY to actually get a hold on. And this is a interesting bunker and missile turret placement over here. Will Stats allow this to go through? That's a pretty significant defensive position coming from XY. Of course, with many Archons and Zealots, it's not going to be easy to hold. Stats clearly has the number advantage, and he wants something to happen right here, right now. Zealots starting to get that charge on top of these tanks. The Vikings trying to get on top of the Phoenixes, but there's just too much Protoss going on. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner for Team Invictus Gaming, it is XY. And in the top right is a red Protoss player playing for a freak of freaks. It is Stats. Alright, it's back at Industries, guys. One of the shortest maps we ever had. This map is minuscule. Really, it's kind of similar to Redshift in a way, if you remember some 2018 maps. Maybe it was 2017, I don't even remember. That's such an old map, I don't know how I remember that. But they're very similar. Very short maps, there's not a gimmicky mineral line between the main and the 4th base, but in the end it still shares a high ground core for both players to build a free base economy on, and then it's all on the low ground, and it's so difficult for players to actually establish anything. Lots of side blockers, as you can see, are also making a little bit harder to move through the map, with this high ground proving to be another obstacle. Stats is gonna check for proxies before sending this probe through the map to get a scout, and he's gonna see there's no Rex in the main base of XY, but that's because it's just well hidden here on the low ground to what is supposed to be the 4th, 3rd or 5th base, depending on the race and the player. This little probe is going to be trapped in the main, and Stats probably knows by now what is going on. The Reaper is gonna make its way back home. Now that XY knows he has forced something, he's gonna get this probe killed. And he's gonna go through the map with the Reaper. There's a Zealot first for Stats. Was way too scared of something going. I don't know if he noticed that Reaper being there a little bit too fast. But that's definitely a good mind game on the side of XY, while Stats is going to go for a Stargate opener once again. Adept is out, and he's gonna greet this Reaper and get an easy kill for Stats before he can get any scouting information. I think he saw the Stargate though. I don't know if he clicked on it, but he definitely saw that. Alright, yet another Reaper trying to go through the Reaper Cliff. Yeah, XY definitely saw that one Stargate. There's an Adept trying to chase down the Reaper, barely surviving to both the Adept and the Zealot. But there's an Alien out as well to get even more scouting information, while Stats trying to establish a Twilight Council right after the Stargate, which is probably going to be like Oracle Phoenix or something to the likes of that. Still nothing coming out of that Stargate actually. While XY trying to get some damage, we'll actually get a couple probes with this Alien. Oh, 3! That's way more than I was anticipating actually. The Alien is going to go through the main, into the main, but there's a shield battery over here. More scouting information, basically for none. There's nothing coming out of that one Stargate. He's going to see the Twilight Council, which is definitely for Blink, and Stats still not producing anything out of that. Keeping resources for Blink and more gateways. But that leaves me with a question. Is that Stargate just a fake? It definitely is a possibility. A Cyclone on the side of XY to be a little bit safer. Playing around Stats' capabilities of putting a lot of pressure if he desires to. The player cam for XY is not there. That's Team GP. XY plays for Invictus Gaming, guys. I don't know what's going on. Second week in a row, that's a weird thing happening, but never mind. Stats producing a couple Blink Stalkers. Well, not Blink Stalkers yet. A couple Stalkers to get the number high enough to start getting a couple trades through the map. Third base incoming for the Protoss player. Stats has no idea what is happening in the main base of XY. He's going to send a small contingent of units to get some cheap damage, maybe get a tank, maybe get the bunker. Just overall reduce the defenses of his opponent. There's a lot of Marines. And that's a Cyclone. That's not an easy catch. That was a pretentious blame forward by Stats. He was gonna lose a couple of units to get a Cyclone. That was a beautiful force build, but it is clear at sunlight that Stats doesn't yet have the numbers to face this army. Blinkstalkers are gonna get some very cute trades, but the sentry is gonna fall down, and that's never worth for the Protoss player. XY sending a huge amount of units through the map. He wants to get stuff going right here, right now. Not producing any units, sending the boys as well. But Stats has been getting consistently good trades with his Blink Stalkers, saving them with very low health. And now the full amount of Marines has actually been cleared. That's just the tanks and many SCVs. But these Blink Stalkers got a very interesting positioning. Oh my goodness, that pylon was powering so many key structures. Blinking forward on top of the tanks. Will these Stalkers win the fight? So many SCVs trying to get around the Stalkers, and in the end it seems like the Stalkers have to blame backwards. The bunker goes up, and that's devastating news for Stats. These probes have to retreat from that position unpowered. Cybernetics core unpowered, 3 gateways, maybe 4. These Stalkers trying to do their best to cut off the reinforcements of XY, and managing to do quite a great job at that, killing yet another tank. But these Marines in that bunker are getting so many things going. Stats has been not producing anything for a lifetime. Finally, he starts some Stalkers again, but the Cybernetics core is about to go down. Another one is going to be made, but this is the right amount of Stalkers he needs. He's gonna lose a couple, but this bunker and these SCVs are going to go down. Beautiful Blink Micro. And in the end, Stats is going to clear this attack from XY. Huge pressure from the Terran player. But at what cost? Stats managing to make just the right game decisions. Getting around the army of XY multiple times, cutting off these reinforcements, and now sending the Stalkers back again to get even more trades. Losing 1 Stalker for a couple Marines, not worth it, but still keeping his opponent on check. It's what Stats wants right now, with a base advantage, economical advantage of course, and right now soon to be tech advantage for the Protoss player as well. Tanks getting a few shells on top of the Stalkers, but Stats once again manages to find out what is going on. That's such a devastating amount of losses for XY. He's going to send the boys again, and Stats trying to buy time for Storm to be up. He needs a couple Archons, I think. With Charge almost going through, steal a couple Zealots could be way more than enough to tank as many units as possible. Getting steel trades with his Blink Stalkers, and now that's a lot of Zealots, that's a lot of shield batteries, and there's also some High Templars. Blink Stalkers blinking forward, getting on top of the tanks. There's so little health, but there's so little Terran as well. Stats will get the game against XY 2-0.